And we are live. Well, hello, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Book Chats and Beyond. I think that is just cursed to be the title because we're now on episode 4, and that's still the title. So that's what we're going with here. I am joined today, though, by Derek Bailey, who's been on the channel before, way back after I read Voidwalker, but he is the author of the Voidwalker collection, Digitarum, and Umbrage. And it's somebody I've kind of wanted to have back on just to hang out with and chat with for a long time. So welcome, Derek, and thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Nico. It's always fun to kind of come and chat for a bit.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think it's a great title, by the way.
It was one of those things where I've been meaning to start something to this effect for so long, and I never do it. And there's always some reason. I'm like, oh, I got to schedule, I got to do this, I got to do that. And so in my brain, the last hurdle was I got to come up with a cool name. And I just kind of like, I'm going to name it the first thing that pops into my mind one night. And that's what it was. And so that's what we're calling it. It's not the coolest or most unique name, but it's a name. And I actually started scheduling. I've been really trying to schedule better and not do what I did to you in like 3 days before. Be like, hey, you want to jump on last second? So
totally cool. Hey, Mike.
We got Mike in the house. Definitely, I'll have to have Mike on at some point. So I feel like I got to return the favor. He's had me on their show a couple of times, which is always the most wild thing. I don't know if you've been over there yet, but it's
a couple times, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
Always the fascinating time for sure. Oh man, but so how are you doing, House?
Isn't there a show called Bald and Balding or something?
Yeah, Bald and Balding, which it's definitely check out. And then there's because they do just some fun, silly stuff between interviews and creature creation. And I was on, I think, the most cursed creature creation episode. So
I think I missed that one, so I'll have to check that out now.
Oh my gosh, it was wild. It'll go down in history. Oh man. But yeah. So how are you doing? How's everything going on your end?
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's been a busy 2025, as I'm sure it has been for you as well, for different reasons. But yeah, no, it's been it's been great to just kind of have some good reads, and been a little slow on the writing front, but otherwise, kind of some fun stuff going on in the personal life too with friends and family. So I've just been soaking all that up, and trying to get a little sun this summer too.
It's been crazy hot, and then it's been crazy stormy. So it's just been weird here. We're in a flood watch right now too, because we've just been having crazy storms and everything. So it's not been a lot of fun outdoors here, but hopefully the weather's nicer for you.
So. Yeah, no, definitely not in a flood zone. We did have one weekend where like the highway was pretty. I think they shut it down because it was too much groundwater. But
there you go.
Yeah,
the lesser dodo. That was that was the creature. But
okay, that sounds a little scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, you don't know the half of it, but oh my goodness, so off topic already, but that's all good. Well, you said slow on the writing front, because I was going to ask if you've got anything in the chamber. It's been a little bit.
It's actually the same thing that I'd sent you like way back, like the first chapter of. So been kind of just ever so slowly plucking away at that. Sort of a weird take on post-apocalyptic survival and that kind of stuff, and I've just been kind of like agonizing over like the dumbest little details as I go through the first draft, but probably about halfway done the first draft at this stage. Just been very slow going. So looking to take a little time off of work toward the end of the summer, so maybe I'll just have a little motivation to through. It's kind of like right at the point where it's about to like really like steam, full steam ahead type of thing till the end. So we'll see.
I can set a deadline and start yelling at you about it.
You know what? You're welcome.
If that would be helpful. So, but I like that you say it's like a weird post-apocalyptic take. 'Cause I'm just like, you writing something weird and like nothing else I've read. No, you would never. I do feel like your stuff is so like eclectic in a good way, for the record too. But it's just like all three of your different collections I've read were like super different and unique and fun times. So that's where, yeah, because I remember you sent me your like sample chapters when you're figuring out there. So I'll be really curious once we have that come out.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it'll come out good. But it's definitely like a struggle, right? Like we've kind of been in a post lockdown world, so I have been going back into the office a couple of days a week, which isn't like too terrible, but it definitely like threw off my routine for so long because there was really no routine, at least not like a consistent one. So I've been trying to figure out how to like do all the things, with kind of a varied schedule. At one point, I did consider just going in 5 days a week just to keep like some sort of regiment.
That's pretty much me now.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Yeah. It can be tough. I think for me, it's sort of demotivating just because I don't actually work with anybody who physically sits there. So I just like on a call myself anyway.
Yeah. That was where, so like I sit next to quote unquote coworkers, people who now anyway, who have like a similar role to I do, but I work with almost none of them. It's very rare that somebody has a work related thing to actually come over and say to me. It's like half the time I'm just sitting there and either on the phone and like Teams meetings all day or listening like to my headphones, and because again, nothing there. So it's all funny that we all go into the office to sit in our Teams meetings anyway. And it's like, but it's kind of become my routine now, and it's like I don't mind. I do way less work when I'm at home now, like after hours, which is kind of nice too. So
it can be healthy to have like the separation for sure. Like once you leave the building, you're just done. Yeah. Oh, the other half of bald and balding. Nice.
Oh man, but that's right. I still remember it because it was the first time, and you started talking about like working in an agile environment, and I'm like, I'm thinking about work too. There was something like that. I don't remember the full context, but I remember it because I'm like, oh no, you're making me think of work. So
I think maybe what it was is I sort of imagined Brian from the Voidwalker collection being in that sort of similar-ish environment. I didn't give him the job that I have, but I kind of put him in like a similar industry, similar kind of thing to make it a little bit more real.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was going to say, I hope that Brian's not too much based on you, because that would be a little bit troubling.
No, Brian was more, so it's interesting because like each of the books, like you said, each of the books is very different from one another. And I think part of the reason for that is when I wrote Digitarm, I was like fresh out of college, and I'd even written like the first piece of that as like a college short story kind of assignment, and then obviously like reworked it to make it bigger. But that was sort of just like my motivation there was almost like you get out of college and you're like, what is even going on with the world? So like the world was very much like the central character of that book. I felt like more so than maybe any of the gods or any of the demigods or any of the other characters that pop up. Like they're there, but it's not really like driven by them, right? And then the Voidwalker collection I started it not long after, and by that point I was pretty well like settled into a job and kind of living that office culture and everything. And it was almost like what's going on with people. So I wanted to write Brian as this person that I could relate to. So he does have like some specific things that would align up with me, but I didn't really identify with him in like the same way that I would. Like I didn't want to. He wasn't like a self-censor. Certainly, it was very much like things that I had observed in other people that maybe I like liked and respected, but I was also just like, what's wrong with you? So it's kind of like coming from some of that and just kind of making sense of all that in a way.
That's really interesting. I don't. If we talked about that, at the time I don't remember, but I mean that I didn't think about it quite that way. But yeah, because Digitarm is very world focused, which shocker why it ended up working for me, because you just write a whole book where you're just kind of literally world building, which was really interesting. But then you have Voidwalker, especially with like your different aspects, really is focusing on like people at the forefront. So you kind of did go polar opposites there in a lot of ways, which I didn't really think about before, but it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And then Umbridge was just a complete left turn after that, because I was just like, I just want to chill. I just want to relax. I just want to write something that's fun, a little nostalgic, younger characters that sort of reminded me of some of the shows I, watched growing up and stuff like that. So it's just sort of like a little bit fluffier, but still had some of the same themes as the other two.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about that originally, and I'm just like, man, I mean, like you wrote it, so I'm gonna read it, but I was just like, I was really confused. It was not what I would have expected, but
yeah. No, I was like, I'll pitch it to him. I was like, this is totally not his jam.
Yeah. Well, and it's it's one of those things. I have some people like that too, where it's just like, even if you're writing something different that's like not my normal thing, like I'm still willing to read it. If you're somebody that I like your stuff, and like your stuff is interesting, and I know I'm always gonna have like an interesting experience reading it, just because the never knowing what I'm gonna get thing, I think is almost like appeals because it's so different. But I feel like that's got to help too, at least to an extent, I would think, with like keeping things fresh, where you just you don't pigeonhole into one thing, you just kind of go do whatever. So I know it's like sometimes, with granted I don't write books, but like with like doing videos or books or something, sometimes I just need something really different, and so I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely helps me creative. Like the writing experience for all three of them was also like vastly different. So it's kind of helped mix that up a little bit, and it never really gets like stale per se, in terms of like, oh, I'm just going to do the same thing over and over again. I don't think it's great from like a marketing perspective because it's not like a series, or it's not like a bunch of like Joe Abercrombie books, for example. It's like you kind of know what to expect, you know what you're gonna get, love it or hate it. Like it's Joe Abercrombie. Same thing with Sanderson. Pretty much any big name that's out there, you sort of almost are like looking for the name more so than anything.
So we should expect Voidwalker 2 Void Boogaloo coming up.
No, at some point I had noodled on like if I was to do like a follow up or something to that somehow, it would need to, of course, be like very different. But it would be one of those things where like when I really thought about it, I'm like, it'd be a repetitive writing experience. It'd be kind of a repetitive story with like maybe a different focal character or whatever. But it'd be the same thing all over again. Is that really worth my time or other people's time? I don't think so.
I'm trying to like obviously speak generally enough so that I'm not spoiling anything, but yeah, with the way that book goes, or like the collection goes, it would be kind of difficult to like, you could do it with a different character, but I feel like that would be difficult to make it feel like it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
you'd have to have something like totally different, and so but that's like, I don't know, there's a lot of things too where I feel like many of us, I've been guilty of it too, you read a standalone and you're immediately like, oh man, this needs a sequel like now. But then also like there are never enough standalones where you don't have to read. So it's like, it's that double-edged sword as an author. Like if you finish something, you put it down, there's always going to be the people like, oh, but I want more of this. And so you can't totally win. I know I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, I do appreciate a good standalone as well, but yeah, sometimes I get to the end, I'm just like, oh, but I would read a sequel. Even if I picked it up specifically because it was standalone. Yeah, so I feel that as well.
I'm you know me. I love my long chunky fantasy series, but it's also like there are too many of them. And I'm gonna be probably like next year starting a whole bunch more too. And so it's like I don't know why I do it to myself, but there's so many things I want to try that are like really long fantasy series too. And so it's nice having at least some shorter things, but I slowly, like, not everything works out, but I'm slowly like ticking through all the different series that I want to read, and I'm always finding out about more, and so it's a huge pain, but it's a fun ride at the same time, at least. So
I mean, it's tough because like some of them are super worth it. Like I do feel a little bit burned by like the Stormlight Archive, but like the the Collation Saga has been so good, the whole way through. And that's definitely like one. Granted, those are, I think, more reasonably length, like on a book by book basis. But yeah, it's been well worth the time, I think, for me.
Yeah, those are, I mean, they're decently long, but it's not like super, super long. And you have a nice complete arc. But yeah, Stormlight was very much made me at least I'm happy knowing that I'm not going to read more of it, so I don't have to allot time for it, I guess. But yeah, that was not for me. But I mean, complaining about it became by far my most viewed video, and like 8% of my overall subscribers are from that video. So, and probably like 95% of my hate comments also on that video. So it's a mixed bag.
It's a double-edged sword.
Oh man, that thing went crazy. That's right. It's just like in some ways I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have posted that, but it has like 36,000 views, which nothing else on my channel comes even close to that. So just like, okay, it's. I mean, I'm at peace with it myself. So it also cleared up a lot of shelf space for me too. But
oh, did you actually get rid of them? Like the books are gone now?
Yeah, all I have is well, they're hiding back here. I still have like the original Leatherbounds and Way of Kings up there, but I don't own any other Sanderson books anymore, and I don't really plan to read anything anymore.
Just for the art alone, right?
Yeah, I still like those books though. And like, I don't know, Way of Kings, I still love. I've read it a bunch, and the other books, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna reread them any like the other ones. I'm not gonna continue. I mean, I DNF'd the new one, so it was just like, I'm just like, nah, it's not. I just felt like it had completely changed, and so much of it's tied in because the rest of the stuff, it's all still mostly going to be Cosmere, and so I'm like, I'm not going to read so gives me time for other stuff. So I wasn't trying to go all negative.
No, it's totally fair. Yeah, I'm still undecided on what I'll pick up next. But have you also by him on a maybe more positive note? Did you ever read Legion?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's so good. I feel like
that seems like one you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's episodic. It's right up my alley. Yeah.
I do feel like that one was because I've read most of his stuff. Elite, I like the newer stuff, not as much now, but I had read most of his stuff. But yeah, that one is. I feel like nobody ever talks about it because it's super different from his normal stuff. But I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of a fun idea, and just exploring it, and that was a cool one. And then that was, I remember he wanted it to become a show. But then that other show, Legion, came out. And so he's like, well, crap, now I can't really have a show called Legion because there's another show called Legion.
The X-Men one, yeah. That one was actually pretty good too.
The first season I loved of that show. It was so weird. And then like season 2, they tried to like repilot it and change it. And I kind of fell off a little bit. But
yeah,
that first season,
they may have lost me there as well. Yeah.
But that was a fun time. But I'm so bad about actually watching TV anymore. We don't get a ton, and usually it's just we end up like rewatching some old show or something. I do need to watch. Have you seen Resident Alien?
No, I mean, I've heard of it, but yeah, is that on like Hulu? Is that?
I think so. It was the new. I think you can watch like the new episodes on Hulu, but the older seasons are on Netflix, I think too. So it's about. I think it's on the older ones. I think are on both, but the season 4 is on right now. It did just get canceled, but they know it got canceled, or they knew, I guess, it was going to. So I think it's supposed to have a pretty good ending. But I just love Alan Tudyk, so that's where like I was probably gonna like it anyway. But it is a ridiculous show, but it is a lot of fun.
Check that out sometime. I haven't. I wasn't able to put my finger on if that would be like one for me or not. Sometimes like if it's a little too zany, I'm just like, oh, I don't know.
It's I mean, granted that's my wife, but no, I don't give it a shot because it is like ridiculous, but it doesn't go too over the top either. It just like it balances really well. Like Alan Tudyk is really good. The supporting cast is really good. And it's just like it's such an odd show, but it's a fun one. I definitely recommend giving it a shot with it as well. But it depends, I guess, what kind of TV you like.
It can be like a little all over the place. Typically, like action dramas is what I gravitate towards. Like I just finished the House of David on Prime. Just like sort of like it's almost like they took the story of like David and Goliath and they put it into more of like a Game of Thrones-y type of storytelling, which I normally don't love the Game of Thronesification of like everything, but it actually kind of worked for me here. Like it was well acted. It was like decent, you know, effects and action and whatnot for what it was. And yeah, it was just nice to have like that style of storytelling, I guess, without all the unsolicited adult moments. So that was good.
So definitely that's definitely the Game of Thrones thing. Granted, that was more of the network, probably to an extent. But...
For sure. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not going to start talking bad about that series. I'm going to stop being negative.
If it helps, I never really liked it. I'm sorry. To be fair, I never did read the books, and I just watched the show, but I didn't really like it at all. I think I just needed to know what everybody else liked about it.
That's fair. I never really watched the show actually because the first season, at least, was so incredibly close to the books, and the books irritated me. So it ticked me off trying to watch the show because they was so close. And then later, I always figured I'd go back and watch it, but then everybody says like, "No, the ending's so bad, it's not even worth it." So I'm like, "All right, cool. I won't waste the time." So I probably should reread the books at some point. It has been forever, and everybody tells me I'm crazy, and I definitely would like them more if I read them now. But who knows? Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But one of these days.
There's just so many other things out there. It's sort of just like, you know, I don't know.
Mike does have a point. Being negative does get the views.
Yeah. Well, I think let's talk about Spicy Nico last time I was in your chat.
Oh gosh, I think that's gonna get the views away probably.
You gotta let them out every now and then, you know.
Oh gosh. So, well, speaking of hopefully positive things, what have you been reading lately?
So I know it didn't work super well for you, but I've been trying to get back into the Threadlight series. So I got like their Kickstarter edition, and that's been like really nice to read. So I've been kind of working my way through that. I'm technically rereading the first one that I read like a couple years ago, just so I was like, I don't fully remember everything that happened. And they were short enough where I was just like willing to fight the bullet and just kind of go through. Yeah, I don't know. It's been kind of like doing the trick. I've been just reading it slowly, casually. It's one of those like it is very much like plot driven and very much like on rails, but I don't mind that. Like I kind of prefer that over maybe something really meandering and character focused.
I see how it is, Derek. So you want to fight? No, I'm just kidding. I didn't like hate those books or anything. They just kind of did not appeal to my taste as much, and so I think I stopped somewhere in book 2, but they're very popular. People really seem to like them. So
I think it's interesting because I feel like Argyle does like Sanderson style action scenes better than Sanderson. I mean, some of the other things are like a little off for me. Like I don't like the character like dialogue doesn't jive super well, and sometimes they do just kind of make decisions that are like very clearly just because they're supposed to keep the plot moving. But other than that, it's just a fun time, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just the fun action, ones are fun to do too. So for sure. I do like some of my sprawling, meandering stories for sure. But there are times where even I'm like, okay, we are meandering a bit too much. So it definitely does exist.
Yeah, I think I'm so plot driven. Like I actually did struggle with Way of Kings a little bit. I think we talked about this last time. And granted, I wasn't well read in like I'm still not well read in epic fantasy like at all. But I was definitely like I don't think I would have made it through that one if I hadn't read his other stuff and had a little like level of trust that it was going to go somewhere.
Which is, I mean, even he said that you kind of have to trust him with that one because they can be a bit slow. But yeah, we're gonna get you hard into the epic fantasy scene because we've adopted you a little bit.
I've definitely dabbled in some stuff for sure that I would not have because of you and others.
It's where, I mean, yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff fantasy too, and that's kind of the things you can find almost any kind of book with it as well too, because even with just in fantasy booktube space, there's such a wide variety of opinions and styles and everything, and so it's there's a lot of different stuff. I mean, all your stuff kind of fits. I know you're more like speculative fiction than fantasy, but it still, I think, fits in there.
Yeah, it's sort of weird. Like I don't always know what else to call it, so I sometimes just call it fantasy because it's fantastical. But yeah, I think speculative fiction certainly describes probably a lot of what I do.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, I feel like they used to be. You had your speculative fiction we used to be used a lot for like sci-fi fantasy back in the day. And now it's more specific, like you must brand as a specific thing. But I feel like sometimes people get too broad anyway, and it makes it like more confusing because misgenring something for marketing usually just makes it be like you're just going to accidentally sell people who then are probably going to not be as happy about it.
Yeah.
Like you see that with some of like the really big things where like they push it as this and try and like this isn't that at all. Why are you pushing this that way, publisher? So it's always a fun time. But granted, I mean, in your world, you have to figure out how to market it yourself too. So that has its own challenges.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's almost like 90% of the game is from what I've been picking up on is just like that's the biggest hurdle I think for most people. I mean, you would think it's just writing the stupid book, but it's not.
I have to write the stupid book and then I have to sell the stupid. Come on.
That's just the beginning, yeah.
It seems like a good time to say go buy Derek Bailey's books, available on major retailers near you on the interwebs.
So two of them, or one of them is going to be free tomorrow. I didn't have the foresight to do it tonight, but one of them will be free. I think it's the Voidwalker collection will be free tomorrow.
Oh,
on Kindle.
Very nice. I'll have to go and link to Voidwalker collection. Like the whole thing is free?
Yeah, just the ebook of the collection itself. Yep.
It's very generous. That's 8 novellas, people, for free.
For free 99.
Free. What? You have a hardcover available now?
That's been out there for a little bit. Yeah, I think it doesn't have the dust jacket. It's just like the naked hardback with the wrapper, because that's what Amazon does.
I mean,
I kind of
to say,
that, frankly.
I like the naked hardcovers. They're a fun time. I don't know. Like I do like my dust jackets as well. I'm not a dust jacket hater, but I'm a big fan of the naked hardcovers too. They just look nice, and then it's like you don't, because I end up what is happening? Okay, I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm adding that to my wish list. And it was making me log in, and then it didn't like my login. So yeah, okay, and I am going to link the Kindle version. I will put in the chat. But yeah, no, that is that's always a good time. So I mean, even if it's not today, it's still the foresight to do that. So. Yeah, so definitely go check out the Voidwalker collection, which is my favorite probably. Even though I've enjoyed everything. But Voidwalker was just like, I still think about Voidwalker all the time too. It was just an interesting time, and really unexpected. And I liked the episodic thing. I know we talked about that before too, but it's just that you could kind of pick it up, read, because it's like 8, episodes, little novellas, and it makes it like really easy to just go in and like, I'm going to read this one and I'm going to read this one. And it's just it's a fun time.
Yeah, it's nice to get that little like dopamine hit sometimes. It's like I kind of will gravitate towards stuff like that too. Because sometimes it's nice to sit with like a big long novel as well sometimes, but like every now and then, like it's just nice to have that like, oh, okay, a thing happened. That's great. Or it's like sometimes it feels you have to read for like 50 pages before you feel like you really got to the the end of something.
Yeah. It's that I've read some other stuff, because we talked a lot about the episodic type of stuff, and I had not read a ton of it before, but I read some more after. And I can't remember. Did you read Hanuvar?
I haven't gotten to that one yet. I think I am curious to see how that will work for me, because I'm not like a huge like classic sword and sorcery kind of guy. I do like Lord of the Rings, but I sort of consider that different. But I'll be curious to see how that works for me in like the episodic thing, because I've heard you talk about it on the channel. I've heard others talk about it. It sounds definitely like it's interesting. So it's one of those ones where it's like I want to try it, but I think I'm a little bit scared. But if I do try it, I will let you know.
Well, and it's yeah, I know that is a bit, and I'm so hit or miss on like the sword and sorcery kind of stuff too. I will say it really depends, but like, man, I really love that book too, and it had that thing where it really is like you're reading a bunch of different like kind of self-contained novellas, and even though there's the overall story. So, and I've read a few other things like that too, but that was a big one where it was just like, I'm like, oh, this is actually, it's kind of fun doing it this way. So I do have a link to the Voidwalker collection with a note that it's tomorrow, that it is free in the I posted about it in the chat, but I added it to the video description, so you guys can check out there if you want to get that collection for free, or it's available in both paperback and hardcover. So I'm not a paperback hater by any means, but I do love my hardcovers.
Yeah. I tend to like a nice hardcover edition as well, if I can find one. Depends on what it is.
Yeah. It's always like frustrating though, like when books don't have hardcovers available, or if it's just like almost impossible to find because like there was a small printing or something too. And I was actually just looking for, funnily enough, the book that lives right next to Voidwalker normally. I have it up here, but Song of the Beast by Carol Burt. And I was just looking, I'm like, I wonder if there's a hardcover available of this. And there's nothing wrong with this, but I look, and there is a hardcover in Russia, only in Russia. I don't know why.
Interesting.
It's like very specifically, and it has like a way cooler cover than this edition though, is the thing too. So I'm like, now I really want this random Russian hardcover of a book that there's no way for me to get. And like, I spent like 30 minutes digging in, like, is there any way for me to buy the Russian version of this? There is not. I found it on some Russian website for like $2 US, but they will not ship to me. Can't really blame them. But hey,
thanks,
we got an interesting party here. And so I mean, free book sales, it's still gets it out there and spread it about too. But it's like I said, that's a great deal too, because that's 8 novellas. So like you're getting a lot there.
Bang for the buck.
Dallas does books as, if we ever read novels which have a popular film, we imagine characters as described or the actor. Hunt for Red October with Sean Connery. So that's an interesting question.
For me, I actually don't really tend to. I mean, it will sometimes influence me if I really enjoyed the movie and I pick up the book after. Sometimes it will take me a little bit to like not see the actor as the character. Because I mean, typically they do look a little different the way they're described in the book, and I kind of prefer not just imagining the actor, because like the other thing with like doing that for me is like I get really bothered if the stories don't match up perfectly, if I'm like picturing them in my head and I'm seeing the actors and they're doing something else from what they're doing, you know, in the movie. So I tend to definitely prefer and gravitate toward just like creating my own mental picture of what they
Yeah,
look
I
like.
feel like it depends because it depends too. I'm trying to think of some other things that I saw the movie first and then read the book. So there aren't that many. I feel like because there's so many movies that are adaptations that I didn't even realize were. But like I think like the big exception is Lord of the Rings. Those people are the actors in the movie. I don't care if they ever remake it. There's still going to be those original actors. Like that is 1000% the way I see it in my head. But other things, it probably varies a little bit. But and pointing out that a character who's a chubby middle-aged guy played by 90s Alec Baldwin in the movie. So
it doesn't quite match up.
well, everybody's got to be like the more attractive, more fit version in the movie.
Sure.
I feel like is typically how it goes. So
Yeah, sometimes they're like a little older than the character actually is in the book in some cases.
yeah, you get a lot of the aging up here as well. But I mean, like even if I had liked the Wheel of Time show, like I've imagined all those characters a million times in my head. There was not really much of a chance, I think, of that like overtaking my view there. So probably really depends.
That's fair. Yeah, I think it's funny you mentioned Lord of the Rings because I actually have the Alan Lee illustrated edition. And I felt like that kind of helped me. Like even though there was pictures in there, like I feel like that almost helped me get away from like picturing the movies a little bit because the books are quite different. At least the first one, is. And that I know that really threw me off like as a teenager after seeing the movie. So it's just like, why is it taking so long for like the Black Writers to show up? I was like, why are we talking about all the hobbits? I appreciated it a lot more as an adult, just to be clear. Like on reread, I had a delightful time, but definitely it was like, very much. There's tons of stuff that like they just skipped over completely. Infamously Tom Bombadil, of course, but like there's even like a scene where like the elves that are walking by them in the movie. And you see them like, glowing and all angelic and whatever. And they're just, staring at them from afar. In the book, like one of them turns around and is like, oh, Frodo. And it's like, wait, what? And then they have like dinner together, so it's just like very, very, very different. But I think reimagining them as like kind of more like almost like Old English, like Norse inspired characters was sort of helpful for me to, get back in the mindset of like, this is like a distinct story. It's got its own value. And both are, incredible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I similarly too, which I started, I think I didn't actually get around to going back because I was just kind of doing casually listening to the Andy Serkis narrations because I kept hearing about those and they are quite good. His singing is a little weird because he sings all of the songs. He sings them, all of them. And I've joked about because this brings up. Apparently, we're just going to talk about Lord of the Rings for a little bit because I have questions now. Because we'll loop back to the other one. But so are you pro or anti songs? I was talking about that with Vina because when I read Lord of the Rings, I'm skipping those dang songs. Like it drove me nuts trying to read them and like find the tune, and so I ended up just like kind of skimming and skipping over. But are you pro anti on the songs?
I think it depends. I mean, I just accepted that they're part of Lord of the Rings, so they don't bother me at all. Like I don't know if you had removed them, would I be like devastated or anything? Probably not. But like they're just kind of part of it for me. It's some of them do have like like little bits of lore like woven in, almost like an epic poem. So I kind of appreciated what he was trying to do from just like an English linguistic perspective. But yeah, I could totally understand if you skip over them. Like they're not like essential to the plot or anything.
Well, see, and that's where I'd always be like, I hated reading them, and so I would always like I'd want to skip them, but I would force myself because I'm like, what if there's something important in there? And there sometimes is too.
Sometimes, yeah.
But oh goodness. But then otherwise, we got to go. Are you for or against Tom Bombadil? Tom Bombadil is such a divisive character.
So pre reread, I was very much against him. I did not understand, and I think some of it was coming from like the movie and him not being in it at all, and like this being it was like it's a whole section of the book, right?
Yeah.
And then they spend a ton of time talking about him in the Council of Elrond as well. So it's like he just like won't go away. So as a teenager, I was like, what even is this? Like I don't understand. And then when I reread it, I knew some of it may have helped that I knew he was coming. But like when he like first enters the page, I'm like, oh, this guy is kind of charming in his own weird, bizarre little way. Like I don't know, he's just so strange. And there's the thing with his wife being like very bizarre and mystical as well. And you're trying to like figure out like what does this guy even stand for? Like what is he really? I would admit he does still feel like a little bit out of place with like everything else going on, but I ended up actually really enjoying his chapters in my second read.
I had a remarkably similar experience, to be honest. Like as a teenager reading it for the first time, I'm just like, what the hell is this? Let's not do this. And then, but then reading as an adult, and I'm just like, oh, and there's some really interesting like bits of lore because he is such a mysterious character. And, he talks about being around for like forever and predating. And so like, yeah, but I'm like, okay, I kind of like, I get it more now, but like I had no patience for that when I was a teenager for sure. So it's definitely, I've changed a bit and I was more interested for sure. John likes my negativity, apparently.
I think that's a fairly popular take, right? To not like the Wheel of Time show.
I feel like, yeah, you see almost as much of the people who hate it as love it. And so it's one of those things where I'm just like, it wasn't for me. Other people liked it. It sort of is what it is. But a lot of burned in scenes, except for Tom Bombadil. I feel like there are some of the miscellaneous things that stuck with Lord of the Rings too, which is always interesting because like one of the scenes that because I haven't even gone back and listened to it yet, but at the end where like Gimli and like spoiler alert, I guess, where Gimli and Legolas go back to like the caves in Helm's Deep and look at all the pretty stones and ore and everything, and I'm just like, why do I remember that so vividly? It's not even like a really important scene, but like I remember that so vividly, just that bromance looking at the stones, and they go on like a boys trip.
Significant to them, right? Like that was like sort of like a bit of a culmination of like them building an understanding and like the give and the take of like, all right, like I'll go in your weird little elf forest if you come look at some rocks with me, like
Fair enough. But yeah, so I don't know. It's weird sometimes. The stuff that sticks with you over, So I've had that otherwise too with like books or series that like maybe I didn't like as much, but then some of it sticks with me, and I always have to reevaluate. I'm like, maybe I enjoyed this more than I thought because I still think about it somewhat regularly. So it's always a sign of a good or impactful story anyway, if it sticks with you, no matter what. I feel like.
Yeah, the more you think about it, like there's definitely like some books that I think about, but well after I've read them. Lord of the Rings is certainly one of them. But yeah, it definitely, I think that's a sign of like, like how good it actually was for you. Is how much it like continues to live rent free in your head.
For sure. It's there's still some, because like I always talk about, Malazan was one where I did not enjoy reading those books very much, but there's so much stuff from there that like sticks with me. So that's where I'm like, it was impactful, even though I didn't have the most fun with it all of the time. Oh, Mike has another, and not necessarily just Lord of the Rings question, but dwarves or elves? I'm going to predict dwarves, but I could be wrong. I don't have a lot of basis for that. I'm just shooting from the hip here, but
it's actually elves, I would say.
Ah, darn it!
I probably look more like a dwarf, but no, the elves were super interesting to me. The first read, I thought like that, just going to like the Elrond's home and And then like, Galadriel's home and just all the mysticism and the cool like angelic nature of them. Like that was always super cool. And other iterations of them I think are neat too. Like I don't like the Dragon Age video game has very different, elves than Lord of the Rings, and those are still cool. And multiple different takes on them. So I kind of am always an elf person. And I'm not a huge Star Trek-y guy, but the Vulcans are always kind of cool to me. And they're basically just space elves with less,
that is true.
Emotional range.
Space elves. Yeah. Yeah, I would probably go elves too. Well, I mean, I would definitely say dwarves. Yeah, no, I'm not super one or the other, but I feel like I've read more elf things that I've liked with dwarves. But like thinking of, at least for like the Dragonlance books, the dwarf character I liked, more than the elf characters, because the elves were really annoying in Dragonlance. But it just depends. I've read both good and bad dwarves and elves, so I don't have a super strong opinion, but they both have their place. I did
I'm not surprised that Mike prefers the dwarves, because I feel like he likes characters that are like a little bit misunderstood, and I feel like that's definitely describes the Lord of the Rings dwarves. They don't always come off in the best way, but they're good people at heart.
Yeah, that's fair. That's where okay, yeah, that's fair. Remembering the deeper stuff. But yeah. In the end, which I don't know how you felt about the Hobbit movies. I know those were very controversial, but I thought they were entertaining. And I also just Richard Armitage, who played Thorin, I was intrigued seeing him, because he played the sheriff of Nottingham in the BBC's Robin Hood, which was I don't know if you can stream it anywhere, but like if you find it, watch it, because it is ridiculous. It is campy as all heck, but he plays it so straight. He is the one character playing it straight the entire time. There is no humor. He never acknowledges that everything around him is campy, and he's so good. And he basically does that in the Hobbit movies too. He plays it so straight, and you got the other silly dwarves singing, doing all the token stuff, and Thorin is just so serious, and it works in a really similar. There's a lot more gravitas in that role, I would say, but that's where I was just excited. I saw him and I'm just like, ooh, I bet he's gonna be really good. And I think he did do really good.
Yeah, no, he was great. I think I didn't realize that. I mean, the movies were fine for me. Like they weren't as good as the original trilogy. I don't think anybody ever would have like argued that. I didn't think they were terrible either. I do think they probably should have been 2 movies, because I distinctly remember after seeing the second film, where they had stuffed a bunch of extra stuff in there, like the weird love triangle situation, and then there's something else that didn't make a ton of sense. But they got to the end, and I'm like, there's only like 3 chapters left.
Yeah.
I was like, where are they planning to
They really did milk it. They really did milk it.
So I think if they had just kept it as like a 2-parter, it could have been exceptional. But I didn't mind like the different tone, because like the books have 2 different tones as well. I thought like it was really cool to see like some of the stuff from the books come to life, like the bear man and just his like whole house and everything like that. Like, so the dwarves were fun as well. I do wish some of them looked a little more dwarfy. I just felt like some of them were like short kings with big noses, but
and some of them didn't even have the big noses. So
some of them didn't.
There's been so many jokes about the hot dwarves. Yeah, it's because my wife really likes both Thorin and Keeley. So
okay.
The one in the love triangle with the elf, because she's like, oh, you're kind of a hot dwarf.
That was, I think, very much the intention by the casting, the directors. But yeah, very, very bizarre to me. I was not prepared for that. But I didn't mind like the stuff that they did to like set up, because they kind of turned it into like almost like a prequel to the original trilogy. I didn't hate that, and like some of it is implied in the books that happened, like the whole like taking down the necromancer thing. Like it's not on the page, but they reference it happening, so that kind of stuff didn't bug me the slightest. If anything, I thought
And
that was
the way that like the ending kind of leads right into Lord of the Rings, making you
Mhm.
immediately want to go watch those movies. So it's my wife and I, we started watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy like every year around either Christmas or New Year's. But we switch off and do the Hobbit sometimes because it's so difficult to do both unless you have a lot of time. But we didn't. I don't know if we're gonna get to do that this year with the baby. So it's it's a little harder now.
Some of my
Hard
friends
teaching
that have
schedule
kids
that
have
good.
said that they need to watch movies in like parts now. So like they'll get like 30 free minutes or whatever, and that's, you know, a quarter of a normal movie or something. And then they just have to pause it. They need to go do the mom and dad thing and they come back later. So it's might have to be what you switch to.
Yeah, it's. I mean, usually, and that's where like even like after she's in bed, usually we have stuff to do. So by the time we can like sit down and watch TV, we have maybe like an hour tops, and half the time we're both like nearly ready to go to sleep anyway. So yeah, we don't do a ton of movies, and a lot of times we just end up throwing on like some old show that we've already seen before too, instead of like needing brain power to absorb a new show. And so it's yeah, that's the way it goes. But it's, you know, there are, you know, there are, I suppose, positive things with having a kid too. You know, she is pretty cute, I guess. So
If you dig really
um,
deep.
she is, well, she's walking now too, so she's
Oh
gonna
wow.
be very soon gonna be even more of a terror.
Yeah.
But never a dull moment.
No, I'm sure that it never is. Yeah, I've got a nephew. It's probably I think he's maybe like a little older, around the same age as your daughter.
We are just about, I guess, just about 15 months.
Okay.
Do
Yeah, I
math in
think
my head
that's
really quick.
so actually she might be a little bit older then. Yeah.
So there, yeah, still has more terror to come, probably.
I mean, it doesn't. It only escalates until like the teenage years, right? So
Yeah, probably. So, but she is at least she's really into books, which is fun. And I love that she's super into books. It's the problem is she's into like the same 8 books
mhm,
repeatedly and
mhm,
several times in a row.
sure.
And when she was little, she would let me read like my book that I'm reading. I would read out loud to her from there, and she would do that. Now she's like, "No, I want to read my books that are really colorful and are interactive." And
Mm.
she will literally either grab the bookmark and shove it into the book, or just try to keep closing it. If I try to read one of my books, like
Oh, no.
not having it at all, she's just like, "No, I don't want your book." But
It's your gross old man book. Keep that away from me.
I know.
This,
Hopefully, when she's
like
older,
flip the
she'll like.
pages too.
Oh yeah, that's her favorite thing is turning the pages. Sometimes she gets a little over eager and we haven't finished reading the page and she's just turning. She loves turning the pages. Or like the books that have like, you know, some of them have like flaps or like interactive stuff. She really
Mhm.
likes those ones. Um, yeah, she too, that she has a habit of, she'll like pick out a book and I'm like, I know you don't want to read this book. We're gonna get 2 pages in and you're gonna decide you don't want it. But she always goes for that same book every time. And there's one, um, it's called there's a collection of books that are about like a bird. There's like the sleepy bird, the grumpy bird, and a few of them like that. But there's one where the bird is doesn't want to go to bed, and another animal suggests reading a story. And it's like, oh, why don't you read a story? It always helps me go to sleep. And the bird's like, how about no? And that's about this part she always quits. So we're getting to like, do you want to read a story? How about no? And she's like, nah, and she doesn't want to. And so almost every time. So now whenever my wife reads it, she'll be like, and Dad, I said, let's read a story. And Alara said, how about no? uh, fun times, fun times. But I at least sleep now. You know, the newborn stages, you don't really sleep,
Mm.
which is fun. But That's where I schedule these usually around bedtime too. So
yeah, that's been pretty consistent for you when she goes down.
usually,
Yeah.
there's a lot of variance
Sure.
with it as well, but she's mostly pretty good now, and she usually she doesn't like wake up a ton in the middle of the night anymore too, which is really nice. But she'll just wake up and yell for a minute sometimes, go back to sleep, or sometimes we have to intervene, you know, it depends. But it's not like constant. Those are the times that really are not fun at all.
That's fair. Yeah. So you need to decide, you're gonna step in, or you're gonna try to see what happens, and if she settles herself, because that's important too. But yeah.
You never know sometimes. It's just like, dude, are you
What do you want from me?
what do you want? Yeah, it's crazy. That's like when she was a newborn, though, I got a lot of reading done in the middle of the night.
Okay, I'm sure.
I was sitting up, so that was a weird silver lining. I would just sit and do that. I'm like, I can't sleep because you're gonna be up in 20 minutes. So
Yeah. Did you do like a lot of reading on your phone? Is that how you were able to? Or were you not? Did you not feel like hold her?
So, yeah, I did some phone or like the Kindle on dark mode, or there were definitely times that I had an audiobook on and I'm just like rocking and shushing with an audiobook going. So it sort of varied on the situation for sure. And whenever doing car naps, I would try to do audiobooks, which is iffy. Because she's, you know, my daughter, she likes to sleep when we would do car naps to like really loud and heavy music. And if it wasn't heavy enough, she would not sleep. So it's always funny when I play her old nap time music for people and they're like, what is this? Oh my goodness. So it's fun.
That's interesting. Were you playing like heavy metal for her while she was still in the womb or something?
I mean, there is actually there was a song, this really heavy song that for some reason, whenever it played, she would start kicking. So whenever my wife was like, she hasn't kicked in a while, I'm nervous, she'd play that song and she'd just start going. So she was a heavy metal baby. So I'll have to send you some videos.
Please do.
We have some really fun ones, but
that's amazing.
I didn't mean to turn this into a like after school special about the perils of having a baby, but you hear that, kids? Oh goodness. That's the fun of the random chats. You never know where things are gonna go. You know, maybe it's books, maybe it's way beyond.
Babies, yeah. Books and babies.
Books and babies. Oh my goodness. I did just recently buy, though, which apparently is a very popular children's book, but it's called The Bakery Dragon. And it's like a mini children's cozy fantasy novel. And it was actually super adorable. And she did not want to read it, so I read it by myself. But it was actually so much fun. It's apparently like I don't know. It seems like it's really popular. I had never heard of it though, but it's like about this dragon who is not a very good hunter, and he's like traveling, trying to find some treasure to bring back to the horde, but he's not very good at it. And then he ends up in a bakery, and the baker at first is going to kick him out, but then like has him help make bread or something, and like he uses his tiny little fire breath to light the oven and stuff. And then the bread, when it's baked, is super golden, and he's like, ooh, it's golden bread. And he brings it back to the other dragons, and then they all want bread. So like they bring their hoard of gold to the bakery in exchange for bread. And it's really fun. That's the base plot of it. But it was cute. It was a fun little story. But yeah, she didn't care at all. So
keep at it. We'll make a fantasy fan of her somehow. You got to
eventually
heavy metal, so it's a hope, right?
It's true. Apparently, I just needed to read more fantasy novels to her in the womb. Was the secret, but
Missed opportunity.
We did do the entirety of Lud in the Mist, which is like a really old fantasy book, and I don't think I would have finished it had I not been reading it out loud. But I did a lot of like funny voices when I was doing it, which kept it entertaining for me.
Sure.
Because it was kind of a dry book, but it's a classic. There's people who really love it, but it was not for me. It wasn't bad, just
Never
wasn't
heard
for
that one
me.
before at all.
Yeah, I had never really heard of it either, but they're like it's beloved by some people, but it also is. I'm pretty sure it's over 100 years old. It's like early 1900s at some
Oh,
point.
okay. Wow.
So, yeah, not one that's on like the casual reading list or anything, but for sure. Well, speaking of reading lists, do you have like anticipated fantasy books that you're planning to get to? Or it doesn't have to be fantasy either. I'm a little bit biased, I will admit, but
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think the big one for me is probably it's one that I've been putting off for like a really long time. But I had picked up a nice edition of Dune, like the nice like hardcover with the sprayed edges. It was like 10 or 15 bucks during one of the Amazon Prime days, like a couple of years ago now. Yeah, that one right there. So
that one.
yeah, exactly. So I need to finally read that for sure. Other than that, though, I would say probably just the third Rooker Flynn book is like in terms of new releases anyway. So I don't know exactly when that's coming out, but definitely want to get to that one.
I'm reading that right now.
Oh yes, yeah, you got I think the E-Arcs came out, right?
Yes. And this is the first one I've actually gotten to prior to release.
Oh, okay. See, I always wait till they come out. Like I'm just like, I just want to get the paperback, just want to chill with it, whatever. Not a big like E-Arc guy, unless it's really helping somebody. But yeah, no, definitely looking forward to that because that's I think you were talking about that with somebody last time. Like that it's ended on a couple of really sadistic cliffhangers.
He is so mean.
He's not a nice man.
Like,
yes, he actually
I
is.
can. Yeah, I mean, he is, but he isn't. But I just like I have this picture in my head of him writing those endings and then just cackling, laughing to himself. I can just see it.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see him like writing the last sentence and yeah, cackling and being like, "Oh, I got them so good this time."
So, have you so you've just read the paperbacks? I didn't know if you'd done any of the audio.
Yeah, I haven't done any of his audio. I know I've heard other people talk about it being really, really good. I just enjoy like the way he does the paperback formatting, and it's really just they're a nice size too. So I just been really digging that. But at some point, I should also check out the audio because I've heard he's really good there too.
I was just curious because I did the original, his first book, Blackjack. I read the paperback, and then the first Rooker Flynn, I read the e-book copy like well after the fact. But the second one I was going to try and get to, but he's like, no, just wait and try the audio because I hadn't tried any of them on audio. And his narration does work really, really well for it too. And like the emphasis and the excitement and the style and the voices and like his Gerba Whitmarble's voice is particularly fun. So it's like, yeah, I feel like especially when you kind of know who he is and interacting with him, it makes it even more fun. But yeah, it's so I found myself missing the audio a little bit this time, but I'm reading lines. I'm like reading it in his voice in my head because I did the second one on audio. So that sort of works out where like I know what the characters are supposed to sound like in my head. But yeah, no, it's crazy. So I won't spoil anything, obviously. But yeah, I'm almost done with. I actually am hopefully going to finish it tonight. But it's I don't get a lot of nighttime reading done anymore because as soon as I get into bed and try to read, I start falling asleep.
Well, I'm telling you, if the ending's not satisfying, you need to message and be like, "Fix it."
I joke. I'm like, I swear, if he somehow ends this on a cliffhanger, just to be mean, I will go to his house and beat him up. So
I don't think
I'm gonna be near him.
Oh, that's right. You're saying you're going in his area. Yeah, that's
Yeah. So the threat is real. I will be near where I don't
Well,
know
for
exactly
legal
where he
reasons it's
lives,
not,
but
though, right?
oh man. It's yeah. Oh man. But he is a fun guy. I did get to meet him a couple yeah, it would have been a couple years ago. I had to think about it. But
Oh, yeah, you and
and
Andrew
so
met him, right?
yeah. Yep.
I
Because
think you
they
guys
live sort of
pictures.
close-ish. Yeah. So that was a fun time. But the books are yeah, definitely sadistic though. So but I'm excited to see how it ends. So it's been really good though. So those are yeah, his books are also like so different from a lot of the normal stuff that I read as well, but just like really good. And he's another author like yourself, where like I'm like, yeah, send me whatever. Like I'm gonna read it, like because I'm just curious. Because your authors that like I've just enjoyed enough that like I'm gonna give whatever it is a shot too. Um, but because this one is super different than Blackjack, but I feel like book two, I'm just kind of like knew what I was getting into and just flew.
Yeah, it was. I liked Blackjack, but then he came out with the Rooker Flynn stuff, and I'm like, oh, I really like this. This is really crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's been a good read. Yeah, I would say him and Andrew D. Meredith at this point. It's just like whatever they put out, I'll probably just get it pretty close to launch. Like maybe not immediately, but definitely within a month or two.
yeah. It's Andrew D. Meredith is definitely on my list too. Of like, yep, you put it out, I'm gonna read it. So, yeah, for sure. That's right. I'm forcing Andrew to finally read Dread Knight in
I
August.
saw that today.
So,
Yeah, good for you. I
yeah.
can't believe he hasn't read it yet. When's he get?
Right? Okay, like I know, like I mean, like I knew he'd get to it eventually, but we were talking, and he said something about it because I was trying to like figure out. I didn't want to be too mean with my choices. I did pick some long ones. I picked some short ones too. I was looking at the comments on that, and a couple of people are like, "Oh man, those are some long books." Which, yeah, that's pretty par for the course with me. But I picked short ones too. But that was just like we were talking, and he said something about like, "You still haven't read Dread Knight? Come on!" So.
Yeah, I will
That was
say I dragged my feet on it for like maybe like a month or two after I had like gotten it, because I had started like the audio for maybe it was even longer than that actually, because I think I got this Kickstarter version in November and I didn't read it until like I don't know earlier this year. But because I started like Wind and Truth on audio and that took me like 3 months just to finish it, and then I think I like waited another month or two because I'm like I just can't be hurt again. But no, it was incredible. It was everything I think the final book in an arc should be. So happy that you're finally forcing Andrew to read it.
Yes, so it'll be some fun stuff. It's always nice forcing people to read books. But I gave him some miscellaneous ones too. It's just fun ones. I tried to do stuff that isn't talked about enough, or that I just really want him to read. Because like Witchwood Crown is granted like Tad, for being such an influential author, is not like the most mainstream popular today. And again, I figure he would have eventually read it, but I'm also just like, go read it, because I read the whole thing last year and was just like, But those are very long. The whole series of very long books.
What are those chunky epic fantasy that you like?
Yeah, so this is a trilogy, and then it's like from here to here is the second series.
Oh
So
wow, okay, so that's big. Yeah, that's
a lot of real estate.
Okay.
He's read the original ones here, but yeah, it's that chunk. But
I feel like the ones I owe you at this point are one of Janny's books and probably the first Hanover.
I would be curious what you think of Hanover. I don't know if Janny's going to be for you or not, but it's definitely an author that I yell about a lot. So
we know.
I know. I was gonna say I do a lot of anytime I mention like Janie Wirtz or Kate Elliott, I always am just like, yes, I know I'm talking about this author. I feel like because at least like some people probably don't are like okay, but people who've like seen the channel for a long time are just like yeah we know. But uh, yeah, I like to I'm always yelling about authors too. So
I think everybody's got like one or two that they love to just promote all the time.
Yeah,
that's pretty normal, I think.
Speaking of which, did you know that tomorrow, on the 26th of July, that you can get the Voidwalker collection for free on Amazon.com? That just seemed like the perfect segue to advertise.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but thank you.
I could tell you're like, wait, is he being
like,
serious?
What's tomorrow?
I couldn't resist the little plug, but so
thank you.
I was legitimately just thinking about Voidwalker too, because I was just randomly I was thinking in my head about like books that do and don't have audio. So have you ever considered audio with Voidwalker?
Yeah, I not seriously, like I haven't like gone and shopped around for audio narrators or anything, but I've definitely thought about it. I think I probably will at some point. It's just one of those things where I know it's gonna be a lot of work and a lot of money. So.
As I said, expensive, I'm sure. So,
I mean, it was even just like doing it's like Digitarum's the only one that does have an audio, and even that one was like a very involved experience, I think, as we talked about before. And
yeah,
definitely like for how long it was, definitely like quite expensive. Like it's not cheap to get the audio talent. And I think I was even on like the lower end of the spectrum. So yeah, definitely a commitment. It's always very impressive when you get indie authors that have like their whole series like in audio or something. I mean, I appreciate it because it helps me like get to them faster, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean that is always tough too, and it's interesting because and audio does help me get to things faster too. Because whenever I can multi-format something, especially, that's something I never used to do. I would pick format, or I'd be doing like 3 different books, one in each format. But then I started being like, hey, instead of doing 3 books at a time, if I have the book physically and like I can get the ebook or like it's available or the audio, and I can do like all 3 formats, that makes it way faster that I get through books because I'm always reading that book. And so I started doing that a bit more, and I quite like it.
So
but
you'll like read the same book at the same time in 3 different formats.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I've tried that like once or twice, but I don't typically do that. And it's usually like either one visual format and one audio format. I don't know if I've ever done all 3, but you like to do ebooks and like when you're going to bed, right? Like that's
yeah,
it makes sense.
And that's where it's when I like I said, I don't do as much of it anymore, but I've always been a reading in bed person, like always. And so like I would just do it with a lamp, and like if you have a hardcover, it's doable, especially if you're far enough in, you can kind of lay it open on its own. There's nothing worse than trying to hold open like a paperback that won't stay open in bed. So that's where it took me a long time to be okay with the Kindle and going digital. But that's like nothing is better for in bed reading than laying it down, and then I can like turn on dark mode, don't even, and not have to have like the light. And so that's where I'll do that. But I also like I like reading physical books. So like during the day, if I have time to just like sit down and read, I usually like to do a physical. I don't typically like just sit down and read with my Kindle because I want to do physical reading. So it'll vary. Like sometimes I'll end up doing more on audio than anything else. Sometimes I'll end up doing more physical or ebook than anything else. But I don't always do that. But when I have something I can, it's kind of nice to do.
Interesting. I think the audio and visual thing throws me off slightly because I will sometimes imagine characters sounding different than they, not like in a better or worse way, just like different than they do in the audiobook. So, which wouldn't bother me if it was like a reread situation because I would have the separation at that point. But if I switch between the two, sometimes I'm just like that. Like there was one of the Ben Galley books I felt strongly that one of the characters was voiced wrong. And I must not have been alone there because his voice changed from one book to the next.
Oh, really?
So
Okay,
I
that's funny.
can't have been the only person with that like opinion, but it was like bad. Like he had like a really like weaselly voice, and he wasn't like that type of character. So it's just like what were you doing?
Oh, that's funny. I definitely have where like if I start a book physically and like I read a chunk and then I start the audio and I'm just like, what? Like that's how you say these words? Or that's how you say, and I'm just like, so I still, and like because like I'm still a very visual reader, even with doing audio. And like, I retain audio fine now that I've gotten used to it and everything. But I just still like if I read something first and my brain made that snap decision of this is how I'm gonna say this, even if I then hear the audio, it's so hard for me to switch. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about that. And there's so much of that in fantasy where I'm just like, I just mispronounce everything. So I get razzed for that every now and again. And I'm just like, listen, I did not do audio for the majority of my life, and I didn't know how to pronounce these things. And like, yeah, some of them have glossaries, but I rarely would actually go look in the glossary and like actually try and figure out the right pronunciation. I'm just like, I'm going to say it however I say it. And that is forever the correct pronunciation in my head anyway.
No, that's fair. I have sometimes the opposite problem when like if I'm gonna write, I like to like just like write reviews to kind of close the whole reading experience for myself. But sometimes I'll get to the end of the book and I'm like, I have no idea how to spell anybody's name. Like I know I could say it to you, but like I don't know like what that looks like on paper. So I'll sometimes try to like Google like how do you actually write this?
Yeah. Oh, I've absolutely had that with audio too. So you can always tell too when sometimes somebody will like phonetically spell a name, and I'm like, there's an audio listener, like it's just trying to figure it out.
It's
like you're doing your
best
best
for sure. Yeah, if I can't find it online or like get my hands on like a preview of the book,
yes,
spell it how I think it's spelled.
Absolutely, I've done that too. Or like sometimes I'm trying to. Like if I'm filming a review and I'm like, I should actually try to pronounce things correctly or like refer to things, or if I'm just, trying to type something and I'm like, shoot, I need to figure out how to actually spell. I've definitely had that. It's always a struggle. I feel like either side, like you're going to yell that, like, that's not how you spell that. Or like, that's not how you say that. Like you can't win sometimes.
At the end of the day, you just enjoy the book and it's fine. But yeah.
It'll be all right. Yeah. But it is fun. I've started doing where if I want to reread something, and audio is available, I will do audio for like rereads because that way it's a different way to experience the book, which I think is really interesting. And it also is just usually quicker as well, so that I don't have to spend as much time. But then, yeah, it does. Because like the one I've talked about probably before, but the Prydain Chronicles by Lloyd Alexander, which is a like children's book from the 60s. I read some of them when I was very, very little, and it was like my first taste of fantasy, like really, really like fantasy. And then like a year or two ago, I decided to try out the audio, and the narrator does a pretty good job. But there's a character, Gurgi, who I have a very distinct way that I hear them in my head, and he does it very differently. And I was so disappointed because I feel like my sillier voice was the way that it should sound, and he does sort of a silly voice, but it's like off-brand silly Gollum basically is the character.
Okay.
But who always is saying things in rhyme, and the narrator does like this really low voice, but I always I heard it as the silly like crunchings and munchings, and he's like crunchings and munchings. It's not the same. It's not the same.
No, that's not the same at all. That's tough.
Probably everybody in the chat too is like, what is he talking about?
Did you ever read like the Artemis Fowl books? It was kind of like
yes,
yeah. Oh right, because you read it's Owen, right? It's like that way you actually say his name, Owen, whatever.
Do you want to know how old I was when I found that out? Because it wasn't that long ago.
I think I found out because of your video, and I was like, well,
oh,
I guess it makes sense, but yeah. So that guy, yeah, you read his like adult book recently, right? Or like adult or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just flashing back now. I was such a like an earth shattering thing when I'm like this. I think in my head it was like Oin or something. Like I never
That's how
knew
I
how to
always thought it
pronounce.
was. Yeah.
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 And then like that just blew my mind that it's Owen. Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that now. That's like that was like a new core memory where I'm just like, what? So I've had that with characters or like place names, but the author name throwing me for that much of a loop, that was a new experience. But
I think it was only recently too that I found out that like how to say Saoirse Ronan's actual name, because it always looked like Seors or something to me, and I'm just like, but it's not that at all.
I see that one I did know only because way back in like my internet forum days, out on the Wheel of Time forums, naturally, there was somebody who that was their name, and like I'm like Sour say or something, and they said what the phonetic pronunciation is, and I'm like, yeah, I never in a million years would have gotten that, but that's like the Irish and or like Scottish and Welsh, which Prydain has a ton of Welsh names too, so many vowels, very difficult to pronounce sometimes, or it's just like you don't. It's either so many vowels or no vowels. I feel like sometimes there's not a lot of in between.
Yeah, you're right. I think it is like the extra vowels that would throw me off. It's like you don't normally see those together, right? Like Owen, it's like, isn't it like EION? So it's like 3 vowels in a row.
It's just like yeah, I don't know. Still, I'm just remembering that. And it's like blowing my mind all over again. I'm just like, granted, Oin is kind of a weird name, but I'm just like, I don't know.
I guess I don't know. Yeah.
Are you
For
gonna
all I
blow me
knew,
up
it was
and
like a
pronouncing
name.
Derek
It's like
wrong?
it sounded mystical. Like I don't know. I didn't even know if that was like their legal name.
I feel like I always kind of thought the same, that it was like this is just this guy's pen name and he just kind of made something up. And no, it's just a legit name that I didn't know how to pronounce. Have I been mispronouncing Derek this whole time?
No, I think that one's pretty standard.
Okay. Just making sure.
That we
Now
watched.
I'm just thinking of Zoolander now.
Oh, I've actually never seen Zoolander, and I know the main character, or like one of the main characters, is named Derek, but I would have like people drop like quotes from that.
I'm sure.
Like, what are you even talking about right now? Like, what do you want from
I
me?
am so sad. I mean, I feel like it is a dumb movie, and especially watching it as an adult for the first time, I don't know that you're going to care for it, but like
Okay.
I watched that when, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of how old that movie is. I, I was probably pretty young when I first watched it, and it was like the funniest thing in the world. And I still think it's funny. It's very quotable. I even watched the second one, which was awful, but it was really dumb. But yeah, I don't know. I love that movie. If you're not into dumb comedies though, it's definitely it's very dumb, but so much
It
fun.
could be hit or miss for me. It's not that I like don't like funny things. Like I like Arrested Development, for example, but like, yes, a lot of comedy just never like tends to work for me. Like I don't like Parks and Rec, for example. I didn't mind Parks and Rec. There's parts of Parks and Rec that I like, but like that has very like tragic humor. So like it pained me to watch those characters just fail over and over and over again and just never learn anything.
That's fair. I liked it after the first season. I liked that show, but I also haven't gone back and rewatched it. Whereas, like, I've seen The Office a million times, which is also. I was gonna say that one. If you don't like the failing and or cringy, that can be difficult to watch.
That one can be rough. I can watch an episode of The Office at a time, and like enjoy it. But then after that, I'm just like the cringe factor. It's too much. Like I can only take so much
Very
pain.
fair. Yeah. That's my wife's ultimate comfort show. She just used to have it back when it was still on Netflix. It was just on basically and in the background so many times. But I do like the show, but I also get it because just it is the cringe humor is just sometimes it's like, oh my gosh. And even the hardest of the like hardcore fans are like, yeah, these episodes we don't watch because they're too cringy. And so that's when you know it's bad, when they're like, here are the episodes that you just are
Just
too
don't watch
much.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like for me, some of it, like in an exaggerated way, just hit a little too close to home with like some of the ways that people actually do act in an office. And so some of it, I'm just
Not
like,
wrong.
I'm like, this is too true to be funny. You know, like this just actually like makes me mad. Like it's getting like a visceral reaction or like triggering trauma or something.
I could see that. Have you ever the IT Crowd? You ever see that one?
So I did like that. I think I don't know what it, maybe it was just like the fact that it was British humor that made it work for me because I don't know what it was, but like it's just yeah, that one was funny. I think it was a little more innocent too in some ways, maybe not all the time, but I don't know.
As I say, that one it does have its fair share of like the cringe and
Oh
or
yeah,
absurd humor, but it's I do love that. That's a very often quoted more than you would think in my everyday life kind of show. But it's and because you mentioned Arrested Development, I can't tell you how often my wife and I will just quote the "What's a banana cost? $10." Like that's also like more than seems possible. That's a very regular quote.
that does seem like it wouldn't come up all the time, but that's interesting.
It comes up weirdly often for us. I don't know why, but uh,
I feel like that has like a new modern. It's different now because of the whole like banana art thing that was like I don't know, like $1 million or something.
what could a banana cost? $6 million, apparently. There's always money in the banana stand.
It's true. There always is.
Man. I'm just cycling through my brain just wants to start quoting all of these different things now between Zoolander and The Office and Parks and Rec and Arrested Development and the IT Crowd and
You'll be trying to go to bed tonight, and your mind's just going to be like cycling through it all, and you're just going to be like,
going.
this is awful.
Luckily, I can fall asleep pretty quickly almost no matter what anymore. I've
Okay.
adapted to that, so
Is that
that's
just because
at
you're
least
like
good.
fatigued all the time?
I will definitely end up just harassing my wife with TV quotes for a while, probably though. So
Nice. Lucky her.
and she's not in the chat anymore, I don't think. So she won't even know it's coming.
Oh, no.
I feel like we're at the part where the stream is just getting a little bit unhinged, but that's okay. So
I'm here for it.
I'll always get there eventually. So I haven't disappeared yet. So that's also a recurring thing in my
That's
streams
true.
where
I
something
didn't mentally
happens.
prepare myself for what would happen if you just blinked away.
I have because the last time it was an old laptop that is not the best, and if you bumped the cord to the camera ever so slightly, it would just completely disconnect. Which I thankfully don't have that problem anymore. So that I have a newer laptop that seems like it's got very nice tight USB ports. That sounded weird when I said that.
I got it though. I understand.
What's happening? Did somebody spike my water? What's happening? Oh goodness. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. It's
You were saying that the laptop was the issue previously, and then
oh yes.
something else happened.
So this one seems to be working nicely. So hopefully won't have issue. The other one, like the hinges broke, so you couldn't close it and had to keep it open at all times, and it was a huge pain.
No.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before. Like where they were just permanently stuck.
So like no, apparently I was unaware, but apparently it's really common with HPs and Dells where just like the way they connect, it'll just like break. and so it starts to come apart, and every time you close it, it comes apart more. So it's over here, right?
Oh, oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's terrible.
There you go. I technically disappeared for a second.
You did, yeah. We got it out of the way. It's done.
We're safe now. But yeah, it still works. It just was a pain to use. So
Yeah,
yeah, I bought like a much cheaper, like half the price, and hopefully it'll end up being more durable. But that one, I'm like, I did all the research and it still ended up falling apart. So I'm just like, fine. So just to throw you on the spot here, because I forgot to say something about this, and it's also been really hit or miss if I remember to do this. But part of the plan with this show is that toward the end, I say, hey, what is a book that you would recommend everybody read? Except I keep forgetting to warn people or mention it at all during the streams. But so putting you on the spot now, if you need a minute, we can come back to it. But any book that you would recommend people check out.
I feel like that one's such a hard one because obviously not everybody will click with everything. I mean, I think the obvious answer for me is certainly like The Hobbit, especially if like, you know, you've never read Tolkien before, then certainly like just read The Hobbit, right? A less obvious answer, I would say. Oh, I know that one doesn't work for everybody either. I was gonna say Thrice because like that one's short, it's fun, it's very like episodic, I guess. But I know not everybody clicked with that one specifically. I would still go with that one. I would still go with that one, especially if you haven't checked out Andrew D. Meredith's writing at all. Like it is like more plot driven and more like, I wouldn't say like on rails. Like it's still got the good character stuff in it too, but it's more condensed than like Collation. So it's a little like a lower commitment, you know, series to get into. And it's always just nice to have short fantasy books too. Like it's not like 700-800 pages, you know.
This is true. Yeah.
The sequel,
Foursquare is really good.
Yes, the sequel is in fact pretty killer. That's another one where it's like that next book better be good.
Yeah, I'm waiting because a lot of unexpected directions in
oh yeah.
Very unexpected. I need to ask him. I don't know when that's supposed to come out. So
yeah, I know he's working on it. I don't know if he's got like a specific date. I do think he also has said in a couple different spots that it may not be like a trilogy. It might be 4 books plus.
So, I can see that.
We'll see. Which I mean, with the length that the books are, I think that would be totally like, you know, expected.
Zach, are you saying this August/fall or like next year? Because I might be really like not knowing. So
yeah, I'm really out of if it's this August.
Apparently, I need to go talk to Andrew D. Meredith. I'm still waiting. And another thing that was totally different, but I'm still waiting for the next of the Spokane Clock Tower Mysteries, the series his wife was writing, which were so much fun. I have never really been a mystery reader, but I'm like, sure, I'll try them. And I ended up really enjoying them. And so that was, I need to, I need the new one of that too. So I'm just going to start harassing the Merediths to write more books.
Just bully them into writing faster.
Oh, okay. So apparently coming soon.
Wow. Okay.
So maybe I don't need to harass
that one to my list, and as far as anticipating.
Apparently,
I just didn't know that was coming anytime soon. So yeah, I'm good with that.
That's what we were talking about, and like I feel like it, should have been coming. So I'll have to go ask, but apparently I don't have to harass that hard if it's coming that soon. So you get a reprieve, Andrew D. Meredith.
Yeah. so for the Spokane Clock Tower, does the third one? Is that? I guess do each of them like, because the first one kind of ended like the mystery was solved. Are each of them like that, or does it like the further series gets on, does it like get more cliffhangery, I guess?
No, yeah, I think each one's going to be a self-contained mystery, but then it's like
Okay.
over time as the clock tower is going. So I mean, they do build because you have a lot of recurring characters
Mhm.
in them as well. But I believe each one is going to be like its own self-contained mystery um, as well. But those were fun. Yeah, I'm curious. I've read. Oh, I still need to read the new Christmas one. I just realized that. So it's my fault. I'm behind. Uh, well, Zach is just on the ball with the Meredith lore here. Um,
Oh
so
yeah.
have you? Maybe okay. Maybe I'm not the only one who hasn't read the second one because I just realized I didn't. The first one I read, which also, for the record, I don't know if you've done those ones, the Christmas mysteries.
No.
Um, I highly recommend the audio because Andrew does them, and
Okay.
including voices for sugar plum fairies and stuff, and it's
Oh.
hilarious. Um, it's I originally I read it originally, and then I did the audio just because I had to hear him doing these ridiculous voices. So they were a lot of fun. But
I'll check that one out on Audible. I feel like I have a backlog of credits, so maybe I'll just pick that one up.
it's a fun time. It's a fun time for sure. So it's the sugar plums are are really fun.
I could see him kind of just going nuts with that one a little bit. I think that would be a
Yeah.
good time. Save
There's
that one.
there's a lot of silly voices, so
Yeah,
for
I gotta
sure.
get back to her books. I like I really enjoyed the first one. I don't know. I think some of it's just like I kind of have to like just be in the mood in the market for a mystery, like a straight
Oh
up
yeah,
mystery. But I really do enjoy them when I get into them.
yeah. It has never been something that I've really read, so that's why it was a surprise for me. And that's where I was reading them with just because I'm like, oh hey, that's cool. I liked his stuff, so I'm like, oh, I'll try some of the stuff that your wife wrote, and um, I find myself too. That's where like they're like the books I think about, where like the historical mystery thing was just really fun. And not a thing that I expected. So I've tried a couple of other kind of mystery and mystery adjacent things too, and it's something I might try a little bit more of. But it's just yeah, not anything I expected to really enjoy. But I need to get another copy of the first book too because my boss, speaking of remote working, my boss is based in Spokane, Washington.
Oh wow.
So she she was in town for something, and I'm like I'm gonna gift you a book that takes place in Spokane because I thought that would be fun. So I gave her my copy. So I need to get another one too. But
Nice. Do you know if she liked it?
I should ask her. Because she's never mentioned it, which probably means she hasn't read it. Uh, but I should ask her, really, hey, did you ever read that book? Because I don't know if she ever did or not. I don't know if she likes mysteries or not. So maybe it wasn't her thing, but she thought it was cool at least. So, but agreeing on the audio, yeah, it was a fun time. I like his narration in general, but the Christmas ones were really really fun. So.
It was interesting to hear. So like yeah, his audio is always good. I think the first time I experienced him not in collation. So I've got this weird thing where I think I've never listened to the same audio narrator for two
Mm,
different series before, and I realized that when I listened to the Bloodstones. Is that the name of the book
ah,
of the series? Yeah, that's the book.
yeah.
And he did a great job, but it was sort of just like a little weird because I was like, wait a second, this is the collation voice. Like what's happening? But yeah, it was interesting, and I thought about it afterwards too, and I was just like, you know what? I know like Kramer and Redding have done a ton of other books too, but I have actually never heard them do anything that wasn't Sanderson.
Mm. That's funny. The Bloodstones is the book that lives on the other side of the Voidwalker collection too. So now we've talked about both of its neighbors, just coincidentally.
It's like I knew, yeah.
It's weird that it came up both times, but yeah, Kramer and Redding was Wheel of Time for me, and that's how I trained
Oh,
myself
okay. Is that where
to
they got
do audio.
famous? Like, was that like their thing? Like,
Yeah,
is that like, oh, okay, all right.
mm.
And that explains
that's
the
that's what they
Sanderson.
were. Yeah, well, and Sanderson specifically wanted them because they did Wheel of Time, uh, very specifically, as well. And but that was I never thought I'd get into audio either. Like I've really embraced the different formats over the last like several years, but audio, I just figured like I don't know, I it didn't seem like it was going to work. I'm like I don't know if I'll be able to focus, so I trained myself with audio because I had read The Wheel of Time like a dozen times. So I'm like I'm going to listen to that on audio because worst case, if I zone out, I know exactly what's going on anyway, and it won't be a problem. And so I did a reread of the whole series on audio. And that was, again, found out how many things I had been saying wrong my entire life.
In your favorite series, yeah.
Yeah. But like it'd been, that was several years ago, but it's still been like nearly 20 years of pronouncing everything the same way because I started Wheel of Time quite young. And I'm just like, I think I even made a video, or it might not have been a dedicated video, but I made lots of comments about like, are you freaking kidding me with how some of these names are pronounced? Because I'd had people tell me how badly I pronounced things. I had that with Sanderson too, actually. People would get especially mad because I always say Adeline, and I will not say Adolin. I won't. I will not do it. I don't agree with that pronunciation. But people get really mad at me for that one too. But
Doesn't like Bookborn or somebody do like a video of like what they thought like the pronunciations were versus what they actually were?
Yes, I remember seeing that. Yeah,
it was a while ago. Yeah.
There's been just too many of the things like that one. I think that with Wheel of Time, and again, I've been told that this does actually make total sense with what it's based on, but I don't know how much you know Wheel of Time at all, I guess.
Very
but
little.
I was gonna say I know you're not, like not like super in depth, but there's a character who I had always called Bridget, and a lot of people, even though it's spelled Bridget, would say Bridget. And it was just kind of common, and that's how a lot of people thought about the character. Apparently, it's actually pronounced Birgitte or Birgitta, I think Birgitta. And I'm just like, no, it's not. Like, I'm not ever going to say that. That is not true. I decline this reality. And I'm just like, I'm just like Birgitta. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I made a really big deal out of it. And immediately somebody in the comments was like, actually, this is based on this culture's name. I'm like, I don't care. It's like, I'm not ever going to say it that way.
Actually,
it's fun times with pronunciations. So
I do feel like audiobooks in general have gotten like better in quality and like both like sound quality, just like the crispness of the recording, but then also like the performance aspect has also been better, I think, over time. Oh,
definitely. That would be so Michael Kramer and Kate Redding doing Wars of Light and Shadow could be interesting. I do like Colin Mace. I don't. You mentioned earlier not liking a specific character. One of the main characters I do not like his voice for, but most of the other people I think he does a good job for. But that's I say they're Kramer and Redding. They're both getting a bit older, and that's a really long series. So that might be a bit of a struggle to get through, but. I do hope we get audio for those.
Redding was really struggling in certain parts in Wind and Truth.
I heard that.
It wasn't consistent. It wasn't like it was like really rough the whole way through or anything. It was just like it was just such a big book that like you could hear it in her voice. It was just trying like really hard, but it was just like cracking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they've been doing it for a long time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it is funny every now and then when I'll do there's the other thing I meant to mention earlier too, because it's funny. There are plenty of books that I read that do not have audio, and the two main categories are indie or like self-pub books or older books nobody reads anymore, which I also read a lot of. And I was just actually talking with somebody, and I don't know where the book is. But the book The Baker's Boy by J.V. Jones, which I have had an old beat up mass market paperback for years, apparently has not only does it not have audio, it does not even have an ebook copy that exists. What? It's print only. And I'm just like, really uncommon. And I've
Yeah,
had some other ones, but it's just it's like you don't think about that as often, but I have lots of books where I pick up and like, oh, I wonder if there's audio. Nope. And some of them are, if authors are well enough known, some of them are getting it. Like Stephen R. Donaldson, his almost entire backlog was done by a narrator, Scott Brick, who I really like actually because he's like the crispest, clearest audio. He's not super performative, but I don't know, for some reason I really do like him. But so yeah, that's where he apparently just does all of Donaldson's stuff. So even though it's different series, I feel like I just associate him with that author, and it would be weird to hear him narrating somebody else. I feel like at this point, kind of like you said with doing it, but
yeah, because you get an association between like the stories and the characters and the voice.
I really haven't had that much overlap. Like Ray Porter, who did Project Hail Mary, and fantastic audiobook on that one. I specifically listened to the entire the Bobaverse series by Dennis Taylor just because I like Ray Porter's narration. And it's very similar in those. But then I also listened to a good chunk of The Rune Lords, which is back over here, which he also narrates, but he does it in like an entirely different style because it's fantasy instead of sci-fi. So that it's still obviously him, but the style is so different. It didn't make it weird at all because he really, like, his cadence, everything is totally different for it. So yeah, hopefully so. I think the plan is to have Colin Mace do them all if possible, but that guy's hard to book. He's a very busy guy. So, which is funny because I one time listened to a really mediocre book that he narrated on NetGalley. So I'm like, you could have skipped this one, Colin, but it was
So
he was the best part.
NetGalley
Is what?
You can get audiobooks on NetGalley? I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, they don't do as many, but they do. They always have some, and not everything will release on there too. But I've done a few.
Huh.
But it was, I don't even remember what the book was called, and it really wasn't bad. But like Colin Mace also brought a lot to it. Like I could just tell, like he was reading things that it wasn't the best line, but he made it sound good. Because he was really selling it. So I'm like, I feel like if I would have read the book, I would have really not liked it. And overall, I ended up like, this was okay. I think he was a big part of that. He really seemed to elevate it. So, and you can get that sometime with audio. It can really bring something up or down,
for sure,
depending on the narrators. So,
no, I've definitely had some books where like it was really just very okay. Like the story, the characters, very mid, but like the narration was so good. I was like, oh man, I had such a lovely time listening to this. Yeah. I kind of felt that way a little bit about The Stardust Thief and its sequel, where like the narration is just so good. But like
I have not tried those yet.
If you do, I'd recommend the audio because it does elevate it in my opinion. Like it's not that it's a bad story or anything. It's very like, I don't even know. It's just very okay. Like otherwise, but listening to it like unfold is much better. I think that's probably even more so for like the second book, which kind of has maybe like a little bit of middle book syndrome potentially.
Gotcha. I don't think I know Frank Muller. What's Frank Muller narrate? I did like the narrator for the Warlord Chronicles, but I did not like the first book in the Warlord Chronicles, which is very controversial. So everybody loves that book. I feel like I should have loved that book, and I don't know. I just didn't love it. But I had some friends razz the crap out of me for it too, and like have a whole joke feud with me because several people I know love it, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just, some things work.
We all have like our own controversial takes on like something that like worked for everybody else except for us.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. Oh, did we? Okay, I was like, we froze for a second. It might have been me. I don't know, but I was going to say, if technology is starting to get tired of us, that would make sense. I have not read those because I don't like Stephen King very much, and I don't think Clive Barker is an author for me, from what I have heard either. So
I've actually only read one Stephen King book. I explicitly picked Salem's Lot because I'm not like a big horror guy, but I do love like vampire thrillers. And I was like, if there's any King book that's gonna work like well, it's gonna be this one. And it did work well. Like I enjoyed it a lot. It was one of those weird things though, where I was like, you know, kind of I did the audio for it, and that was good too. But I was sort of just like, yeah, like I understand like why everybody loves Stephen King. Like this makes perfect sense to me. And I was like, I just don't think I necessarily need another book.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was weird. It was like I liked it. Like I really liked it, but it was like I think that was enough.
Yeah, I had one of his books, I think, and then it was Andrew read, I think, Weave World and told me about it, and I'm like, I'm unhauling this guy's books because he's out there, and like people like him, but it's also he's like one of those weird horror guys, which I'm not much into horror myself either, so that's a big part of it. But so, well, I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind for sure. But on that bombshell, I've just realized what time it is and how long we've been going. Uh, so I think it's about time to wrap up because it's nearly my bedtime because I'm an old man.
That's fair. I mean, you got a kid now, yeah. Can I get that sleep while you can?
This is true, but yeah. Wild stuff for sure. But yeah, it's probably about time to be wrapping up. But thanks for hanging out for nearly 2 hours. It's been really fun to talk, and it's just it's really fun just having you on to chat as well. And yeah, make sure like I mentioned a couple times, but if you didn't see it before, the Voidwalker collection is free tomorrow on Amazon, so definitely check it out there. But any parting thoughts or wisdoms?
Yeah, just thanks for having me, Nico. It's always a blast to kind of come on and just talk books with you. It's awesome. We got some things that were similar and some things that are different. That's always fun to dig into and cool to hang out with the chat as well. So it was fun. Really appreciate it, and thanks for plugging the Voidwalker collection as well.
Oh, absolutely. The other books are good too, for the record. I just like Voidwalker. So I should say I've mostly talked about that as well, but I have enjoyed all of them.
That's
Oh goodness. With that, I think it's time to end before I get like tired and start saying weirder stuff maybe. But thanks again so much for having me. Thanks to everybody in the chat and the replay. It has been fun, and see you next time.
everybody.